Welcome into what is episode 8 of our expansion series with the Raleigh Oaks. In this episode, we will have the main events of the MLB Draft and the trade deadline coming up at the end of this month of July. So that'll be exciting. Arguably, two of them my most favorite times in the OTP are those two events there, especially whenever we're a team who is doing as poor as we are. So it could be a little interesting. Um, but yeah, also we're going to touch on the All-Star voting results have just finished up on the American League side of things. Jeffers at catcher for the Twins, Kurtz with the Athletics at first, Jackson Holliday with the Orioles, of course, at second, Cam Smith with the Astros, Bobby Witt Jr. with the Royals, Wyatt Langford with the Rangers, and left and center, you have Derek Hill. Right field, Aaron Judge. Designated hitter comes Tristan Cassis with the Red Sox. Then your starting rotation for the AL is DeGrom, Crochet, Weathers, Screwball, and Gilbert. And then the relievers Place, Hader, Santos, Cano, and Aiken. Of course, you'll see Cano there for us. He is our one and only that's making the All-Star game. Did a quick check-in on him. He's been phenomenal. We did claim him on waivers back in October of last year from the Orioles. And yeah, he's been killing it. 52 innings pitched this year thus far. His ERA of 1.37, ERA plus of 309, and a FIP minus of 58. Already at 1.6 WAR on the year as a reliever. Potential to reach, he's projected to reach 2.8. So yeah, he's been phenomenal. One of the lone bright spots of the team this year. National League final voting results. Tyler Stevenson at catcher for the Phillies. Riley with the Braves at first base, not third. Ketel Marte with the Diamondbacks at second. Cam Collier with the Reds at third. Shortstop Mason Wynn. Left field James Wood. Center field Jackson Merrill. Right field Dylan Cruz. Designated hitter Otani, of course, with the Dodgers. And then the rotation for the NL side of things is Paul Skeens, Corbin Burns, Justin Steele, Shane McClanahan, and Blake Snell. And their relievers are Devin Williams, Johan Duran, Tanner Scott, Edwin Diaz, and Andrew Walters. In the last video, of course, we did that little prospect check-in for some of our favorite prospects coming up in our system, and Eric Segura was one of those guys. Very sad news. You'll see he is now out 12 to 13 months minimum with a ruptured ulnar collateral ligament. Sorry. But yeah, 12 to 13 months. So that's absolutely horrible. You have to wonder if he'll come back as like fragile injury proneness after that. That's a tough one to recover from. But he was one of our prospects that was looking somewhat promising. Like he wasn't going to be a world beater, but very, very serviceable to a team like us if he were to make it. I mean, to be fair, he was just drafted last year, right? Like a year ago, pretty much, because we're at the draft in game today, and he was already up to AAA, where he only had 18 innings pitched. But I mean, an ERA plus of 102 and 97, bit minus. So it's not like he wasn't holding his own. It's really unfortunate though. I guess we'll have to monitor that situation after he comes back and see what kind of impact it has on him. Quick look at the draft order again. Of course, we do come in with the first overall pick, thanks to the lottery not completely screwing us out of the first pick. The Athletics at number 2, Phillies at 3, Pirates at 4, and Marlins at 5 rounds out the top 5. Yeah, so we're really excited to have the first pick. But I want to say something first. I've taken a look at the draft class, and this filter here, I just have it on potential, is at least 70 at the moment. Okay, so mind you, that's on 70. Look how many players pop up still. Like, this is insane. An insane draft. And we invited a ton of people. Like, we interchanged them in and out of the draft combine to really get high scouting accuracy. Wanted to try something a little different with it, and it really paid off. As far as getting really well accuracy on a lot of guys. But this is nuts. Like, it's insane. So this first pick isn't going to be an easy one. We'll probably do what we did last draft, where we go through like the first, I don't know, 1 to 2 picks together, and then I'll do the rest of the draft off screen, so I don't bore you guys too much with it, because I do go somewhat deep into the draft. I feel like I might try to make it till round 10, especially with how deep this draft is, because like, let's change this to 60 potential, and then look how many, 97 players, 97. Like, the value that's probably still going to be there in the second round may be kind of crazy. So yeah, we'll see how it shakes out. But we'll dive into this one. The mock draft has us taking Edwin Mato, or Mato, however you want to say that, an 18-year-old left-handed shortstop. He probably would actually be able to play shortstop. It's rare that shortstops come out actually being shortstops at a major league level. They're usually more like second or third baseman. But I mean, yeah, he's like a interesting player, but I don't think, looking at some of the names that I've saw, I don't think he'll be the guy we'll be going with. Second has Joe Ashley, another phenomenal 18-year-old coming out of high school. He looks insane. Rafael Martinez at 3, and then Kevin Ricker at 4, who is very, very interesting. He does have the fragile tag. And then Aaron Erickson at 5, who I really, really like. I did go away in advance, so I didn't have to yap too much to you guys and shortlist a lot of these guys I'm interested in. And when I say a lot, you literally see everyone that is in all caps has been shortlisted. So it's safe to say I'm very interested in a lot of these dudes, but what I did, I added them to our short list of amateur draft targets. Now, of course, some of these dudes on here that are old, I need to remove from last draft. Like Alex Harrington here. We'll just go ahead and do it so he's not toward the top of this list. But yeah, so there's a lot of guys here. So I was like, I gotta narrow this down even more because that's still way too many. I just put them on default, and these are the guys that I've been stuck on taking in the first round. Up first, he's a 17-year-old, Brian Deering, and he is fragile. So he kind of, when I was looking for tiebreakers, that kind of made him last on my list. But the amount of pitches he has is absolutely incredible. Like he has 3 pitches. All of them looks like they honestly could make it, except for maybe the changeup. Changeups are just so hard to develop, as most of you probably know. That's not to say it won't make it to like at least 50 or 45 or something, but either way, he still has a great pitch repertoire. But he is only 17, so he's still very, very raw. I mean, the fact, though, that his movement's already 40 and his pitching BABIP is 55 is really promising for him. But when you see some of the other guys, you'll understand why I have him last. Next up, Nick Martin, who I really, really like. He has a velocity potential of 99 to 101. He's extreme ground ball, has good personality. He's just normal injury proneness. He has 4 pitches that all will likely make it to at least 50. And speaking of that, his fastball's already there. His movement's already 50. His pitching BABIP's already 55. He is a 22-year-old coming out of college. And as most of you know, if you remember from the last draft, I do value college players a bit more in the first round just because they are a little more developed. And, it's more of like a higher floor, lower ceiling with college talent usually. I mean, obviously, they don't always work out. They still have to actually develop and make it. But yeah, that's just the way I like to go about things, especially if we're a team like ourselves who the quicker they can make an impact, the better. Like Nick Martin, in theory, could be ready to come up to the majors in 2 years, 3 years at the earliest. So, that's relatively soon for a team who needs help desperately. But yeah, so he's very interesting. Next is John Mayer. Not the music artist, John Mayer, but he's actually a 19-year-old in high school. And, he's going to be going into college. He's committed to Oral Roberts University, apparently, if he doesn't get drafted. But he'll definitely get drafted by someone. He's also a freak. The only thing with him, so that sinker is maxed out at 55. Now, it might make it to 55, but that changeup, I honestly don't have trust in the changeup making it. If you look, too, you'll see, like, it's not really been touched any at all in all this, which none of his pitches have just yet, as long as he's been, available in the draft pool for us to scout him. None of his pitches have had any movement, and changeups, as we said earlier, are hard to develop. That's a little scary. All this stuff up here for a 19-year-old is already so developed. And he has an interesting nickname of Cocaina. His velocity potential is 99 to 101. He's a neutral ground ball, fly ball tendency. Yeah, he's another one that we're really, really watching because that home run allowed of 80 is very, very good, obviously. And then his fastball, the potential to reach 85 on the slider, and 80 on the changeup. The changeups just develop so slowly for some reason. And then next, Chris Richens. All of his pitches will probably make it, and they're all at least graded 80. So 90, 85, 80, and they're already so developed. His velocity potential is 100 plus. He has a solid personality. He's coming out of UCLA. His control was only projected to reach 50, which is, you obviously really, really hope it makes that, but you also can see a world where this settles around 45, and it could be annoying if it doesn't make it all the way. But his stuff of 75, and then these bars here, he does have some of the lower potential for all of his middle bars, that like everything that isn't stuff compared to all the other pitchers we've looked at so far. So that's why I'm not sure how to feel about him. Like, he has 100 plus velocity potential, which is the best out of all these guys so far. And he has the 3 pitches that can make it, all of them graded 80 or more. But his control is a little scary, of course, just like the other guys, and then his middle bars. So it's like trying to weigh the pros and cons of, because his is at least 75, 75, 80, 60, right? 75, 60, 60, 55. So it's trying to weigh the pros and cons of how much I want to value these top bars compared to the pitches being so far along. And one thing about Martin that's interesting, his changeup is 35. When you look here, Deering's changeup is 20, Meyer's changeup is 20, and Richens doesn't even have one. He said, screw the changeup. His pitches are well developed. I can't help but lean Martin a tiny bit because he has the next highest velocity potential at 99 to 101. Great personality. And he has at least 3 pitches that I trust, being the sinker. I think the sinker will at least get to 50, and we'll see what happens with the changeup. And he does have 65 stam. I want to say that might be the best out of all these guys. 50. There's Martin 65. There's 50. Richens 55. Right now, if I had to order them, I'd probably go Nick Martin, Richens, and then Meyer. I'm going to say it a different way every time I say it, so apologies for that. But yeah. And then Deering last, just because of fragile tag. I think he may not ever get hurt, you know what I mean? And he could be literally the greatest pitcher out of this draft. I feel like it's hard to go wrong with any of these picks, but I'll always hold some sense of regret, like feeling like I missed out on someone, regardless of who I take. Then you'll note we actually have 2 bats on here. And the first one being Neil Toner. He's listed as second baseman in this draft, but he's definitely more of a first baseman. Something else we noticed is guys like this, the reason you don't want to sleep on him, you'll be like, he has 0 defensive value. Well, for one, you come over here to his ratings tab, you will see he has outfield range of 55, outfield area 55, and an arm of 50. So he could probably play left. And you're like, well, it's not here. Why would you do that? Why would you force it on him? Well, there's a little tip that I'm going to add in the tips video that I want to make, such and such number of tips for OTP that I plan on making. If you go to their defensive ratings and you're on the compare tab, it doesn't matter who you have over here you're comparing them to. But look, rating at left field 65, rating at right field 55. Now with his arm, of course, he probably would definitely play left. He'd prefer a stronger arm in right field because, of course, they're throwing to second base and third base from a further range than the left fielder is. So they need a stronger arm. But yeah, so he has the potential to reach 65 at left field. The only reason it's not showing up right here is because he's never had a single rep at that spot. So once he has a rep there, it will pop it up as like probably 25 out of 65 or whatever until he's able to develop it. And then, of course, you probably noticed too, he can play first base, which most players can play first base, if we're being honest. Yeah, so he has a crazy power. He's very well developed already. His nickname is the Human Rain Delay, which is pretty funny. He's crazy developed already. That power could be absolutely nuts. He's developing pretty equally against both-handed pitchers, which is nice to see. Slightly better versus lefties. That's, to be fair. I mean, he's righty. But still developing nicely along the way. And then next, Aaron Erickson, who's listed as a shortstop. He definitely wouldn't be that as of now unless for some reason the Dev Lab bumped him up to be better at shortstop naturally in that infield range. But he would be a phenomenal third baseman and second baseman, in my opinion. Some people do hope for a little bit better arm than 60 at third, but I mean, I personally think it's all right. But either way, he could be a phenomenal second baseman. He also has the outfield range of 50 and an outfield arm of 60. And again, you don't see left or right field here, but check this out. You go there, defensive ratings, and look, rating at left, 55, rating at right, 50. So, like, he has the potential to play a lot and lots of places for you. So he's super duper interesting as well. His bat is slightly weaker than Toner's, in my opinion. He still could generate the pop that you would definitely love. But he's more of a, gap hitter, more of racking up the doubles kind of guy for you. Like he had 20 doubles in college his last year and 26 the year before, 12 triples, 10 triples there. He's not developing as easily as Toner is, or as equally, sorry, against both sides. He definitely favors going against righties, but he is a switch hitter. So you do wish for a switch hitter to be developing more equally against both sides. But it's not the end of the world. He was also very interesting, and he's a good base runner. So Two more thoughts before we get going and finally make our pick. So with Toner and Erickson, I've had the thought, like we drafted DeCaro last year, right? We're like, okay, if he makes it, he could probably be our ace right now. And we would have a really good player on many controlled years coming up that would be on the pitching side of things. We draft a hitter, then hopefully one of these dudes make it. And then we also have like an all-star caliber player on the offensive side of things. And we kind of got, a 1-2 punch on each side. And then I also had a thought like, well, imagine the 1-2 punch we could have in our rotation if we took one of these. And that's where my mind's at. That's where my mind's at with this process. That's where I'm stuck at. But I'm just really, really leaning toward Nick Martin, I believe. You guys gotta let me know. I'll go through them again slowly here. You guys gotta let me know in the comments right now who you would have taken or who your favorite was out of these. Mind you, I spent forever picking through the draft and shortlisting guys, and these were the ones I had to stop. I was like, if I can't make a pick out of my favorites out of like 5 or 6 players, then I could look at this all day. So you guys let me know who you would have taken. Just scrolling through them here again so you can pause and put your comments down below. But I'm really trending toward Nick Martin. I do think there's going to be some insane value to still be had in the second round because just how deep this draft is potential-wise. So it's going to suck missing out on any of these dudes. I know they're all probably going to go in the first round. But I really, really just think we take Nick Martin. He has everything's rated 80 plus as well for his pitches, except for his changeup. But his changeup is 35, and mind you, that's like 15 higher than everybody else's at this point. And he has the highest stamina, great personality, and he's already so developed up here, with 2 of the ratings already being at 50 plus, and 1 already being at 45. We just have to hope for the control to come around pretty much. And I think he'll be a world beater. So we're going to head over to the actual draft tab, and we'll make our pick. Looking over here real quick, before we do make our pick, I wanted to see who they had the first pitchers coming out of the draft, in the mock draft. They had Kevin Ricker, who we also did check out, but him being fragile and then comparing him to some of the progress the other pitchers have made, I still just happen to like, I think, Martin better. The next pitcher they had was, let's see, Bobby Knoll, an 18-year-old, who also looks very interesting. How far down did they have Martin, out of curiosity? 29th at the Astros. Okay. Antonio Alcantara in front of him as well. Like, this draft is insanely deep and so well developed in the first round. It's crazy. The 2027 draft is going to be one we talk about for years to come in the save, I believe. It'll be fun to monitor all the talent that's coming out of this one and see how they develop. But I think we're going to be taking Nick Scatter Martin. This is him. He's developing evenly against both sides of the plate as well, which is very, very good. It's rough for a pitcher, to be honest. It's usually not that equal. Not to say that'll continue, but it's definitely a very good bright side. But yeah, like I said, what I was obsessed with was his development on all his pitches already. The lowest one being rated a 70. And his control is actually already at 35. I thought it was lower than that. And the velocity potential of 99 to 101, and he's already throwing 97 to 99. So yeah, Nick Martin is our first overall pick in the 2027 draft. All right, let's finally make our second round pick. And I told you guys this draft is deep, and you're about to see just how deep it is, because look at this. Still this type of potential left in the second round. Absolutely absurd. And you'll see there's some who are still quite developed, and I want to obviously take a look at them. So we're sorted by overall first, just so we see some of the more developed guys. Of course, some of them are relievers. I can't justify taking a reliever this early with how deep this draft is, but we'll check him out for the sake of looking. Another reliever in Williams, who looks quite good, to be honest. Adam Patton. We only have high scouting accuracy on him, but he does look pretty solid. He's one we'll definitely keep an eye on. Another reliever. Nick Holloway, a starter, an 18-year-old lefty coming out of high school. He's going to be committing to Kent State University. Personality class, I feel like we can be really picky about right now because of how deep this is as well. There's another reliever. Holloway again. Whoops, I went the wrong way. Freddie Spears, Antonio Quadros. I don't like his pitches, nor the personality class. Matt Steele, very interesting actually. Aaron Barnett. Okay, so that's all the guys who were um, rated in the 30s at this point. So I'm going to go away, though. I'm going to do some picking through again like we did for the first round pick. And I'll let you guys know some of my favorites and we'll make the pick together. All right, so we went away as we did before, and we have made our favorite list for this second round pick. Right away, top of the list, Tony McDonough. He's got a pretty cool name, if I say so for myself. Zero bias. But yeah, he looks very good. He's a center fielder, listed center fielder, mind you. But he's probably going to be more in left field with that arm. He doesn't have any infield range, so he could play first though if needed. But yeah, he's a good base runner. So the defense is a little lacking as far as air and arm goes. Maybe that's something that could be improved upon. He is 17. Next, Marco Perez, another pitcher. Also, just so you guys know where my mind's at with this pick, I am leaning toward a hitter. Because we went Caro last year, first round this year, another pitcher, and then this year, going or second round this year, going another pitcher. Even though it's so deep, and there's some that look very, very good. I feel we really need to invest in the hitting side of things because our prospect system is it's very shallow right now. Because we're a brand new org, of course. So yeah, that's where my mind's at with that. Joe Mejia, probably. I don't know. He looks very good. I like him a lot. He'll probably definitely play more second base and not at an elite level. His outfield range is 45, so he maybe could learn left in the future, left field. But second base, first base guy, I don't really have the pop you hope for to play first. But he's actually developing nicely. He's 19. He's coming out of high school, committed to the University of Missouri. But yeah, I like this guy a lot. His bat. Next, Ricky Reyes, another pitcher. There's just so many that are so good in this draft. It's a lefty out of high school. I like this pitch mix up here. The changeup might not ever make it, but both of these being at 30, this fastball being at 40, and they're rated 70 or higher is really good. His stuff is off to a slow start for him, so I don't know. He could be more of just a relying on his movement and control type of guy. And then Aaron Barnett, another guy who I like a lot. Like he could be a very good second or third baseman. You'll see he actually has some center field potential. His outfield range is 60. So he could probably play left or right. You do hope for probably at least 70 range in center field for a positive defensive zone rating. But he'd be a phenomenal infield defender at everywhere except short as it stands. He has a good personality class. The power's already made it to 40. Everything else has already made it to 40 or 45 except for the gap power and eye. The eye makes it at least to 45 or 50. That would be nice. Gap power, he would probably be more of a pop kind of guy when you look at him here if the gap power didn't make it. But if it makes it to at least 50 as well, like he'd be a very good player. He's developing somewhat evenly against both-handed pitchers, but better against lefties naturally where he is right-handed better. But he's very, very interesting. Also, that's something I want to take note of is his nickname is Pick. I feel like that's some sort of like, I don't know, OOTP God telling me like pick this dude by giving him that nickname. Next, Travis Briner. Doesn't have the potential for any power, but being 18 and this stuff being at 35 is pretty impressive in my opinion. He'd be more of a left or right fielder as well, coming in listed as a center fielder. He'd definitely be more of a left with that current arm. He does have the durable tag, but yeah, I like him a lot. Kevin Hughes, another interesting player. He had nice base running and good personality, which kind of lights up this screen here. It kind of is carrying a lot of the weight because he is 17, and he's obviously where he is 17. A lot of this hasn't developed, but he's going to be more of a gap hitter, like an extra base hit kind of guy at most, or just a okay or solid above average on base guy is what I'm trying to say. He could be a solid leadoff dude for you. He could eventually play center, but probably just left field because of the arm again, which is the case with a lot of these dudes you'll start to see. But I feel like compared to other guys, he's not as far along as dudes similar to his age or around his age. Ed Mills, a 19-year-old center fielder who would also not play there, of course, just like all these guys. He's a nickname Plaw Dog. He's committed to the University of Memphis. He's going to be a phenomenal extra base hit guy. Like, probably going to smack the doubles. Like he had 45 doubles and 223 plate appearances. It is high school. I get that, but that's still crazy. And if the eye makes it all the way, he could be a really good bat and solid base runner. Then Adam Patton, was that back at the top? Almost. No, it wasn't. Okay. Adam Patton, another pitcher, 21-year-old, coming out of 3 years in college. And he's another pitcher who looks really good. If he somehow makes it, I'd be thrilled. And then Dan Price, 18-year-old, who I don't feel is as far along as the other bats we've looked at, but I had to add him because he looked pretty solid. And then Chance Watson, another pitcher. So I have to say my favorites are McDonough or McDonough, however you want to say that, McDonough. I like him a lot. He has a high ceiling, low floor right now. Some of this stuff is making it. I don't think the power will ever come too much. Um, but he's a good base runner. Could be an all right defender. The air and arm is scary. Um, Joe Mejia. That's what we're going to go with. He looks good as well. Um, he's not as far along as say someone like Aaron Barnett. And he's not as good a defender either. Um, I I have to say, in my gut right now, I'm leaning Barnett. I don't know if it's just because this power and avoid Ks is carrying this profile for him, but he will also be a very good defender. Um, you guys gotta let me know what you would do, of course, for this pick as well. Travis Briner, also quite good. But I think Barnett and Joe are my favorites so far. The next was, who was it? Was it Kevin? No, his base running and personality and stuff was doing a lot of lifting for him. Ed Mills. Yeah, Ed Mills. Yeah, so I'm stuck between Ed Mills and Aaron Barnett and Joe. I think I like Joe the least just because the defense. Let's compare Joe and Aaron, if you guys don't mind. Let's take a peek. So currently Aaron is more developed. As far as potential, Joe does win there um, by a good bit. As far as their current splits, though, obviously where Aaron led up here, he leads in the same stuff down here. Um, Potential wise, yeah, there's a big gap, but I mean something on avoid Ks. Now, if that was like a 10 gap difference in gap potential or power or something, I'd be more concerned, but 65 is still very good for avoid Ks. It's only a 5 difference in contact potential. Power potential, it's only a 5 difference there, but he does have it, and that is a pretty big eye difference. I will say that. Defensive ratings, yeah, Aaron just obviously crushes him. Aaron can play literally everywhere except center field or catcher. Obviously, he's not going to be pitching, but you get what I'm saying. He'll literally be viable everywhere except for center and catcher, and well, probably shortstop. But yeah, uh, Joe is really just going to be. He really only has potential to make it at first or second, and he won't even be phenomenal at second. I think I'll lean Aaron for this pick. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I think it's just how far along he's already developed is what's getting me in the defense. Um, because these other bats, they're very raw right now, which there's nothing wrong with that. It's just I feel like having that kind of development still available to you in the second round is so good. Um, Man, it's tough though, because the more I scroll through these, the more I'm worried about having regret. um, I don't know. He obviously won't be a shortstop for us. It's like, do I take Aaron or do we take? Oh gosh, I don't know. It's hard. It's hard. All right, one more thing I wanted to compare here was Aaron and Ed Mills. For some reason, I'm starting to favor or starting to have a weak spot for Ed a tiny bit. Oh wait, this is on Dan Price. Let's change this to Aaron Barnett. Okay. Again, Aaron is very nicely developed already. He is 22. Ed is 19. Um, but that's why the potential is also ready. So much big of a difference is because of the age difference. That 3 year difference is what makes or breaks probably the potential for a lot of these guys. Current development, of course, favors Aaron. Um, Base running, Ed is a very solid base runner also. We look at defensive ratings now. Ed is, I'm pretty sure, an outfielder, yeah, but we can still compare them respectively. I mean, funny enough, Aaron's the same defender as Ed is in the outfield, and that's not his natural position. Um, yeah, he's actually has the potential to be better at it as well than Ed. This isn't helping. I really thought this would make me favor Ed more. The batting potential does, don't get me wrong. I mean, ooh, to be fair, when you think about it like this, only being 5 higher than a 19-year-old right here, 5 higher, 5 higher, and this stuff being the same. Now, power is obviously what Ed lacks, but he could be a phenomenal on base and like extra base hit guy. Shoot, man, I suck at this. Too indecisive. All right, I think I'm gonna go with my gut. I'm going with Aaron Barnett. That defense paired with that potential power, which is something our lineup does lack. We're putting a lot of pressure on a draft pick that's still probably a year at the least off, obviously, from making it to the majors. But yeah, we're gonna go Barnett. I've got to go with my gut. There'll probably be some regret in this one, but yeah, that's who our second round pick is gonna be. All right, yep, Aaron Barnett, our second round pick in the 2027 draft. Welcome to the Oaks. All right, and that is going to do it for what I'll show on screen for the draft. I'm going to do the rest of the draft, and I'll give you guys an update at the end. Be sure to let me know how you feel about our first 2 picks, though, and comment down below who you would have taken. All right, I finally finished up the draft, and I can't wait to show you guys the results. I'm going to preface it with it was very exciting. A lot of talent continued to fall. It was a very deep draft, so I don't know if it's fair to say talent fell more so than it just existed. Um, so yeah, our first pick, of course, was Nick Martin. We have negotiated with these 4 picks already. We just offered them their demands to lock them down. Second pick, you guys saw as well, Aaron Barnett. Looks like he'll be a really good defender, or solid defender, and hopefully a good bat. And then third round, Ed Mills. You guys remember we were torn between Barnett and Mills. He fell to the third. I couldn't believe it. I was so excited. But yeah, we were able to grab him. Definitely more of a left fielder, probably. And then Ricky Reyes fell to the fourth, which is pretty nutty. I was interested in him earlier on, around the third to second round, to be honest. He does have lower stam. We're going to try and hopefully boost that in the development labs over the years. We'll see what happens. But regardless, I was happy with the pick. We'll see what comes of him. Yeah, that was our top 4 that we have to negotiate with. Now, over here on this side of things, I just put a filter to draft year is and then the current year. Our other 16 picks, because the draft has 20 rounds for us, Ryan Marino in the 4th round. We were able to get this kind of talent. I was super excited. Up next in the we're just gonna sort by potential, and I'll tell you what round they were from. But yeah, so he was 4th. 6th round, Dan Price, another high potential guy that has a solid outlook at third base. Worst case, first baseman, who knows? But yeah, probably more of a third baseman. We'll go ahead and do this now, actually. We won't force start. We're just going to change his position to third. Then next up, Mike Jones in the 7th round, a catcher. I kind of did take a peek at our farm and just to see where it was the weakest, and we did need catching. But yeah, hopefully he'll at most, or at least end up being a solid defender. But really happy with him. In the 7th round, and then 11th round, Lance Davis. Round 8, Colin Markham. Has phenomenal power and gap power potential. Low avoid Ks and low-ish avoid Is. He might strike out a lot, but who knows? We'll see how he develops. 16th round, Andreas Alvarez. Dave Cheatham. I don't know. Who knows? But round 9, another catcher. Round 12, Manny Lara. David Morrell in the 15th round. 10th round, Fabio Peralta. I really like this guy for his defense at center field, potentially. I mean, even left field, he only has 45 arm, but he's a good base runner. Tony Aguilar in the 17th round, reliever. Another reliever, Bobby Belt in the 18th. Bruce Fortney in the 20th round, which was the final round. Carson Luna in the 14th. Kai McGarry in the 13th round, another very good defender in the outfield and good base runner and solid personality guy. Matthew Priest, same thing, great defender, and got him in the 19th. That does run out the 2027 draft. Of course, we're planning on these guys to sign. There should be no issues there, but we're going to roll along and head over to the trade deadline. So we've been rolling along, and we're actually only 3 days away from the trade deadline. And some of the players we've been shopping are, of course, Handa. We mentioned that in the last episode that we felt like it may be wise to try and see what, just see what kind of value we could get out of him. We don't have to be hard pressed to move him on because, like I said, his contract is pretty team friendly. It does go up, which in theory would probably make him harder to move in the future. He has done pretty solid this year. He is only on pace to finish with 1.6 WAR, but that's likely because where he was injured for a bit, he's got like roughly almost 200 less plate appearances than last season, a little under that. But we've been shopping him, and we shopped Horner just for the heck of it. I mean, he doesn't have a lot of value because he's been underperforming a lot, and we did sign him to that 2-year, 16 million per deal, just because we really thought he could be a difference maker and be consistent of at least 2 WAR for us. Now, fair to him, I guess, that he has kind of regulated some, and he's only projected to finish with around at least 1 WAR, but we're expecting better than that. But anyways, of course, not too much interesting things came through for him. Handa has received some decent interest on the pitching side of things. Of course, we're shopping anyone we feel that has some of the highest value right now. Cano, Jax, and I mean, of course, starting by WAR, Francis and Burke as well. So that's kind of where my headspace is at right now. But I wanted to show you guys this. So an interesting trade came through from the Padres. They would send 26-year-old Robert Colina, who actually looks relatively solid. We just have a recent report on him from today, funny enough. Says he could have success at the back of the rotation. I think they've been starting him. He doesn't only have 45 stamina, but I mean, to be honest, 40 to 45 is kind of my cutoff point anyway. He hasn't been having the best year, but he's still projected to finish with roughly 2 WAR. He's not doing too hot as far as his ERA plus goes. Last year he did really solid. 2.6 WAR with a 122 ERA plus and and a 96 FIP minus. I feel like that might be more of the typical kind of player he is, or maybe league average regularly. But the fact that they're only wanting Trey Sweeney, who we've just been using as like a utility infielder or injury replacement whenever we need him, kind of is encouraging. I feel like it'd be silly not to take that. I mean, Polino was also a Rule 5 pick, funny enough, just like Trey Sweeney was as well. He's not even going to be eligible for ARB this upcoming year. So I'm thinking about accepting this one. Another one that came through is a guy that's popped up every time we have shopped Handa, and that's Reed Detmers. He's 28 years old. In this trade, they actually want another, random, or they want to give us another random prospect, sorry. We could go into negotiations and see if we could get someone a little more appealing, maybe a 45 potential kind of guy. But this is Detmers, and he looks very, very good. We got a report on July 23rd because he kept popping up in all of the shops that we did. So I was like, you know what? Let's make sure we at least know what this guy actually looks like. And he's fairly even, obviously, against both-handed batters. So he is a lefty. He's on 5.6 this year, and he has one more year of ARB next year, which is $9 million. Then after that, he'd be a free agent. So we could either try to flip him again next year, or we would possibly retain him depending on his asking price. But this year he's been really good. I mean, now this is roughly league average, the ERA plus a 104, but 72 FIP minus, and WAR of 3. Last year he had 2.1, where he was barely below league average. And I mean, in relevance to our current pitching, like that's pretty solid, sadly, as far as our rotation goes. But Reed is one of the guys that we've been eyeing in that trade. After kind of thinking on it, I do think we're going to accept this one. I think it would be silly not to. We're getting a guy we're actually going to use in Kalina, and giving away someone that hardly doesn't get too much reps for us and isn't considered a really solid player for us as of now. I mean, like on paper, he's the ultimate util guy. He can kind of play everywhere except for really shortstop reliably. Funny enough, being listed as shortstop. But he's obviously not had the best year in AAA for us or even in the majors this year. The move to make room for Kalina was waiving and DFAing Garrett Clevenger. And we're going to slide Kalina onto the active roster, and we will be promoting up another utility or middle infielder guy to fill in for the spot Swinney was taken up. Well, after tons of shopping around and many offers come to our inbox that were just pitiful, um, one finally came across that I actually liked. It's Handa heading to the Angels for Reed Detmers, who has, I think, at least 3 years of ARB left. Projected to go up to 9 after this year. He's, again, as we touched on a little bit ago, having a really, really solid year this year, especially as far as WAR goes in the FIP minus. Um, and they wanted to add also Bobby Estevez, who has 55 potential as of now. I did go ahead and request a report on him. I'm worried that could drop after the trade, but I mean, I still feel this deal is really solid for even if it was just almost Detmers for Handa alone. Um, like I said, his contract was team friendly, but it's it's less money overall that we'll be paying out. So we are getting that deal off the books. It will hurt. He was like, I don't know, I want to call him our first big signing, but exciting signing. Where he's at least been around league average or slightly above. Like this year, I think if he would have got to play the whole year, he probably would have easily hit around 2 WAR. But yeah, hopefully he can go on to the Angels and do solid things. But we're going to be getting Reed Detmers and Bobby Estevez for Handa. And in case you were wondering, we did have a recent scouting report on Detmers beforehand, July 23rd. So only 6 days old. Um, so yeah, we'll be welcoming Detmers to the active roster, and Handa is headed out. Some guys that we're still going to be shopping. The deadline is just in 2 days. Are Horner, if he can be moved, but probably not. And anybody else here that's on the last year of their deal, we're going to shop them around for sure. Um, Detmers, as of now, does only have one more year of ARV left. Forgive me. Whenever I looked earlier at the payroll for the Angels, it looked a little more weird than that for some reason. But yeah, so we'll at least have him for one more year next year. And that's less money that we were going to be paying to Handa regardless, so it still works out. And maybe we could even trade him next season, unless like it's totally worth extending him or something. Yeah, so like Horner, Boyd, any of these dudes with larger-ish contracts, we're going to try to chop and just see what we can get. I mean, if it's nothing, then so be it. We roll along and keep on chugging. But yeah, a quick update as well on how the team is doing. We do have to bring up another player in spot of Handa. But this is how the batting is looking. Alfonso's having a really good year, as well as Brito and Canzone or Canzoni, however you want to say that. He only has 161 plate appearances, so nowhere near as large sample size as the rest of these guys. Young and Nunez, of course, have been very poor, but their zone rating is 6.9 respectively from both, funny enough. Our shortstop and our center, the defense is really what we wanted, and they've been able to lock that down. Mitchell's been underwhelming, and Horner, again, as we touched on, has been pretty poor lately, though. He's had a string of solid games, but it's not going to make up for the bad season overall. Pitching, we do have some solid performers, to be honest. That's been our bright spot. Franco Elman, the guy we got on waivers this season in April, has been probably our better reliever, like definitely one of our better ones aside from Cano, obviously. And then there's Soto as well, having a really solid year. Our pen has actually been good. I mean, like, look at this. This is actually crazy. The entire pen has been performing, but then you'll see it starts to get a little rocky around the starting pitching. And here's Detmer's stat line, of course, who just joined. He'll instantly be our best starter stats wise. Um, it did slot him into the number one spot. The rotation itself is just really wonky because I had to order it by stamina more so with all these trades going down. So don't want someone really tired up next to start or currently starting. So yeah. And that's the rest of the stats for the starting pitching. Kalina, we actually was the guy we just grabbed. He hasn't made a start with us yet, has he? Kalina, no, he hasn't. He hasn't had his first start with us yet. Um, but yeah, we were happy to acquire him because he has a lot of controllable years. He's someone who can fit into the rotation or just slide over to the pin if we need him to. Another interesting trade here. The Red Sox that came to us wanting Griffin Jax and Yenier Cano. Jax is expiring after this season. Cano is still on ARB with us, but this would probably be obviously one of his better years that he'll have. It's literally a career year for him. So it'd probably be wise to capitalize on that value, especially him being 33 and a reliever at that. No use in having really good relievers on the team. That sucks. Might as well get value. They've came to us with Alex Lira, who we did request a report on, but as of now, potential of 50. Says expect modest production from Lira once he fully develops. And he's actually doing really good the past 2 years in rookie ball. He's only 18. He was an international amateur free agent signing for them last year. He's a lefty. Uh, Definitely more of a corner outfielder, of course. Not center field with those ratings at center. Antonio Anderson is the other guy. He's 22. He's a switch hitter. Has pretty solid defense at third. Can even probably play, yeah, corner outfield. He could probably learn it for sure. He's a switch hitter. Developing somewhat evenly against both sides. A little bit better versus righties, which is what I would prefer if he was going to have split issues. Prefer him to be better versus the righties for sure. Um, his stats in the minors this year, they've like fast tracked him. So literally 2027, A, high A, double A, triple A. He has been flying up the system, but high A is kind of where he peaked. Double A really struggled, but they moved him up anyway. So if we were to get our hands on him, we probably would just jump him back down to double A or maybe even high A just to see if he can settle in. He hasn't really gotten a chance to. But to be fair, he's been in the minors since at least 2025. So maybe they were just trying to force it and see what happens. But I mean, this bat on paper, and our report's from the 24th, so only 7 days old. This bat on paper looks really solid. So I think we're going to do this deal of Cano and Jax for Lira and Anderson. The Dodgers have approached us on the final day here in the closing minutes with a offer of right fielder Kendall George, who has a really solid defense. He could even play center. And if this bat makes it, he would honestly be potentially a very good leadoff guy, and a phenomenal base runner. He hasn't been doing the hottest in the minors, but our report is from the 9th, so I trust these bars. The other players that's a part of the trade are Jafet Martinez, obviously not as appealing, and then Raleigh Kelly, same. I mean, he might could become a decent player, but more than likely not, especially with that control. Of course, our report on them two guys are really low. In return, they want Soto, who is expiring after this year. So my thought process is it'd be better to get something rather than nothing. And we don't have to pay the rest of that 3.6 the rest of the year, whatever is remaining of that. I would guess it's around 1 million. That would come off the books. And then Johan De Jesus would also be heading out. He was just a minor league free agent signing for us. He was nothing special or that we were looking forward to. So we are going to complete this deal. In case you're wondering what this one was, this is Eduardo Rodriguez. My tongue keeps getting twisted. Sorry. He has a weird contract. It is a player opt out there, and that one's a team option. It's like a mutual option. But I don't really like this one anyway. They were 100 Goodman. We're not hard pressed to trade him, but it's just not worth it for us. I feel like it's just more of a salary dump for them. But we are going to accept this one from the Dodgers. The 2027 trade deadline has came and gone, and I figured we'd do another quick recap on all the trades we made personally, and maybe we'll review any of the large ones that happened around the MLB, if there are any. Um, so yeah, of course, the last one, we moved one from Griffin Jax and Ynier Cano, sending them to the Red Sox, getting Alex Lira, who we're still waiting on that report to come from, and also the prospects list should update soon. We'll touch on that. But anyway, Lira and Antonio Anderson. We got them two back in return. We also traded Gary Soto and Johan De Jesus in exchange, or to the Dodgers in exchange for right fielder Kendall George, who will also get new reports on every single one of these guys. And lost my track there. Jafet Martinez, which we're obviously not too high on. That's just who they had added. And Riley Kelly. Another trade we had made was, of course, the Handa trade. It was the second trade we made. We sent Handa to the Angels, getting Bobby Estevez, who we hope this report comes back to still remain somewhat accurate here, because he looks like he could be a solid prospect, and he's been killing it down there in rookie ball DSL. Even since joining with us, he started one game, had 5 plate appearances, and he had 3 hits and an RBI in that game, so that's exciting. He continued the momentum from over there with the Angels DSL team. And of course, we got Reed Detmers, who we will have at least one more year via arbitration. We obviously will probably extend that to him. The estimate is 9 mil right now. He's on pace for, or he has 3 WAR. He was on pace for apparently 4.7, which is insane. He has still yet to have his first start with us, I believe. It will be coming soon though. But either way, happy to have him on board for at least the rest of the season or one more season, and maybe we end up trading him next year. Who knows, for some decent return, hopefully, or maybe we extend him. I don't know. We'll just see how the dominoes fall. And then the first trade at the deadline was the Padres coming out of nowhere wanting Trey Sweeney. It looks like they're actually probably starting him. Wow, he's had a solid debut. Yeah, good for him. And they gave us, of course, Robert Colina in return, which I didn't uh, turn down at all because he can actually go into the rotation for us, which is nice without stamina. But he can also go into the pen if we need to in the future. But he has a lot of control years left. He don't even enter arbitration after this year. So a 26-year-old with tons of control years left, already at 50 overall, was just what we needed. Overall, though, I would say my opinion on this deadline was, for one, it was way more active than the 2026 one, of course, and I'm extremely happy with it. We suck right now. We're going to continue to suck. This is how our lineups look and current hitting stats after all the trades are said and done. We did some just basic adjusting, next guy up attitude with a lot of people in and out. As far as pitching goes, this is how it looks. Sorting by fit minus, of course. We promoted Hedrick and Diaz from AAA, where they were actually doing pretty solid. Yeah, this is the staff. Another quick little check-in. Sim Robers actually won Rookie of the Month for the AL, and for us, of course. In July, his record was 3-1 with a 2.49 ERA, 19 strikeouts, and 25.1 innings. Overall, on the year, I mean, he's been below average, but I guess he just happened to have a really hot July, which we'll take. But thought that was cool. Well, as we rolled on past the trade deadline and a little more through the season, you'll see we have just a little under a month left of the season. You'll see it's September 17th. October 3rd is when the season ends. Of course, we've officially been eliminated from playoff contention, as if we needed any more confirmation that we weren't going to make it anyway. I think that's going to do it for this episode, though. It was a very productive one. The draft and the trade deadline was actually really active. The draft was absolutely insane. You guys got to be sure to let me know your opinions on it, how we did. Next episode, we'll do a end of season review for our team and around the league as a whole, and probably take on free agency and any other roster moves we're going to plan to do this off season. And we'll check in on our prospects again once that top prospect list updates with all of our new draft signings and our new prospects we grabbed in trades at the deadline. But yeah, I do really hope you guys enjoyed this one. And if you did, please be sure to hit a thumbs up on the video down below. It helps a ton and it means a lot. And I will catch you guys in the next one.